Hi, this is Jenny Langley, author of the new Maudsley Training Manual. In this video, we're looking at exercise 5.1 on emotional intelligence. And module 5 is basically the advanced communication skills of motivational interviewing. And of course, remember in module 4, we looked at the basic communication skills using OARS. Okay, so we're looking now at emotions. Emotions are what make us human beings and guide our progress through life. So we've got the basic emotions of joy, anger, sadness, disgust, fear. Then we've got social emotions like shame and embarrassment. And of course, teenagers are super sensitive to those social emotions. And what happens with the eating disorder is, of course, that the eating disorder very often will numb all of those emotions. And that's what teenagers actually find quite compelling sometimes, is that I don't have to feel all those difficult feelings. So remember, every behaviour has an emotion behind it. So if carers can notice emotions, even if the loved one can't really recognise them, then that can help to start to re-trigger that part of the brain that manages all of those emotions. And of course, starvation really affects the ability of the brain to be able to regulate and recognise emotions. Okay, so complex reflections. So we learnt about reflections, didn't we, in OARS, in module 4. So complex reflections often involve noticing the emotion or saying to the loved one, thank you for telling me how you're feeling. If they can't tell you how they're feeling, I notice that your eyes are all teared up, you seem sad, so you're noticing the emotion. So we use a really simple technique called ALBS, which we come to in the next few videos. Okay, there are some really clear short-term and long-term benefits of emotion coaching. So in the short term, if the carer can recognise the emotion, take a breath and keep calm, then that can really help to bring down the emotional intensity of a situation. So imagine a young person has agreed to their meal plan, they're going to eat everything on the meal plan, and then the meal's put in front of them and they just have this raging temper tantrum. They can't eat it, it looks like a plate of frogs and snakes, they're screaming, they're shouting, they're throwing the plate on the floor, the plate's smashed and everyone's like, ah, like that. And the human natural automatic response of the carer is to rise up to that emotion. You can't do that, that's not acceptable in our house. And everyone then is really, really upset. Okay, what this technique can help carers to do is to take that breath, calm things down. So we tend to mirror the biggest emotion in the room. So if the biggest emotion in the room is the violent temper tantrum, then everyone rises up to that. If the biggest emotion in the room can be the carer taking a breath, keeping calm, and then offering support to help the loved one come back down, then that becomes the bigger emotion in the room. In the longer term, emotion coaching helps the sufferer in many ways. So the sufferer will really be shown that you're trying to understand them, that you kind of get it. How many times do they say, you don't understand me, you don't care? The loved one learns that a range of emotional responses are normal. It's okay to feel sad, angry, disgust, ashamed, etc. And eventually the loved one will learn that they can self-soothe and problem solve themselves. Okay, so chapter 11 in the second edition of the skills-based learning book is all about this emotion approach. Okay, this table is what we use in the workshops to help carers to think about what are the signs of these basic emotions, and then so how can they notice them, and then what would be their automatic carer response if they saw that in their loved one, and then what might be an alternative soothing carer response. So let's have a look at a couple of examples. So first of all, how do we know that our loved one is feeling something in terms of emotions? So it might be he shouts and slams the doors, she breaks things, it might be something simple like picking the skin off the thumb, so it can be quite subtle. My son used to say he was bored. He would come home having been absolutely exhausted with everyone telling him to eat more and exercise less, and he'd just say, I'm bored, and then he'd go to his bedroom. So bored can really convey a whole mix of emotions that the young person can't convey, but they just use that word bored. Going back to sort of more toddler-like things, so she sucks her thumb when she's feeling anxious, kicking anything, so kicking the dog, the doors, the walls, the mirror, being tired, going very quiet, so just that kind of withdrawing, seeming to be in a trance, like that poker face. He might become very flushed in the face, very angry, teary-eyed, rolling eyes, curling up on the sofa, like la la la, go away. Going for a really long run or intensive exercise is quite important. Maybe repetitive exercise in front of you, so star jumps in the garden, not eating or overeating, avoiding eye contact, and then other aches and pains like headaches, stomach cramps, joint pain, that sort of thing. They can all be signs that there's an emotion going on there. So let's have a look at carer response to anger. So the signs might be slamming doors, shouting, kicking walls, breaking things, bright red face, that sort of thing. The automatic carer response might be to tell the sufferer off, tell the sufferer what to do, or be angry back. This isn't acceptable, that sort of thing. The soothing carer response might be calmly notice. You really slammed the door, you're really shouting, and then label you seem angry, and then give the loved one some space, or immediately give them space and then come back later and notice you really slammed the door, you seemed angry, and then validate that with I would be angry too. You're angry because of the eating disorder, that sort of thing. And what you're conveying is I love you unconditionally, what just happened isn't acceptable, but I love you and we'll get through this together. So we call that the crab sandwich. Okay, let's have a look at the response to fear or extreme anxiety, which again is really common, isn't it? So signs might be he looks terrified, her face goes into the trance, withdrawal, that sort of thing. So the automatic carer response might be to bring out that kangaroo type caring response. Oh, my poor darling, you're really anxious, you're really scared, I'll look after you, I'll protect you, there's no need to be afraid. Or it can bring out the rhino response, which the arguing with logic. So the fear might be, you're going to make me fat, and the arguing with logic is, no, we're not going to make you fat, or that won't make you fat, or that doesn't have calories in it. And you end up engaging in an argument with the eating disorder voice. So a soothing carer response, again, would be to acknowledge the emotion and also to acknowledge the challenge of facing up to your fears. So recovering from an eating disorder has so many challenges and fears, and that can be a huge roadblock to progress. So the St. Bernard response can be helpful. So whatever avalanche, whatever the eating disorder throws at us, we remain calm and we say we're here to help, we can face this together. Or the dolphin response is to gently guide the sufferer to face their fears or face their anxiety when they're ready, but of course with no pressure or judgment. And carers might also have to acknowledge their own fears and how they learn to address their own fears. So very often carers say, but I don't want to change what I'm doing because it might make it worse. So experiencing the same sort of thing. Now, of course, in terms of fear, if the loved one is in real danger because medical risk is very high, then of course the carer is going to step in and take over. So society expects me to, or I'm your mum, I can see that you're very ill, we're going to take you to the hospital now. So we call that being a firm dolphin, or sometimes it's referred to as a gentle rhino. Okay, so this exercise can help carers to reflect what emotions are my loved one feeling? How does that show? Can I notice attend to what I'm seeing? Can I label the emotion, but I can only guess, but maybe they will correct me if I get it wrong. And then how can I soothe? How can I validate that emotion and soothe them? And there's many, many different ways of doing that. Sometimes carers ask, when they do these things like shouting and kicking and breaking things, how do we know if it's extreme emotions because of the illness, or how do we know if they're just being naughty and defiant and doing it on purpose? And so our response in the workshops to that was, well, they might be being naughty, or it might be part of the illness, but you can still make a guess and respond compassionately. And it's always okay to state boundaries. So remember, unconditional love, state the boundaries, that's not acceptable in this house, but then the unconditional love, we can help to work through this together. Okay, so thank you for watching. I hope you found this video useful. All of the worksheets and videos can be found at www.newmaudslaycarers-kent.co.uk. Thank you.